Handle your hive with Tadioshi. All right, hey, I got Shane. I got Elija McShane with me again. You've been on the show before. Thanks for coming on and spending time with me, brother.
Oh, awesome to be here, my man. What a blessing.
and you're coming to me from the Kingdom of Hawaii, right?
Yes, I'm here in the Hawaiian Kingdom. As I introduce myself in all of my videos, it is Elija McShane with Elija McShane TV, feeling good, feeling positive, feeling powerful on this beautiful day in the Hawaiian Kingdom.
I love that. I love that. Every time I listen to your videos, you always say that, and it's like, I got to have something like that, man. I got nothing like that.
Yeah.
No, but I love talking to you, man. And we talked about a year and a half ago, and about a lot of things going on in terms of Hawaii and the Hawaiian people and native aboriginal Hawaiians. I myself being one,
Yes.
you yourself being one as well. So I'm always, but I grew up here in the contiguous United States, so I kind of I'm always up for lessons in terms of my Hawaiian history, but also, but just the state of affairs. And that's kind of what was on the agenda today was more precisely, especially as we come off of a weekend of an Independence Day weekend here in the United States, an important holiday for many people because it celebrates our independence from imperialism, and more specifically England, and from the British, and becoming our own country. And but what most people don't know or don't recognize oftentimes is that we kind of annexed. Well, we annexed Hawaii, which is really sort of like stealing Hawaii. But I want you to tell people your history, because you're an expert and you expert on history of Hawaii and on the people, and give everybody from your perspective like just a brief little historical snippet of what has happened and where we are today with all this.
Absolutely, brother. I appreciate being on the show again, man. Being able to spread the stories of our ancestors, and to be able to be a voice of the land, yeah. Because oftentimes, we talk so much we can't even hear the land, and it's only when we can, just hush that it's going to be a great opportunity to hear the voice of the land. A lot of people, they're so disconnected because of our mainstream society that it's a more so of an accommodation that people are interested in being able to live in a high rise than being able to live on land, and it's man, it's just a crazy situation overall. And speaking of Independence Day and these things that took place this past weekend, we have always kind of I grew up here in a family that was heavily Americanized, all Hawaiians, amazing people, but overall, we had no consciousness about our own holidays in the Hawaiian Kingdom. We didn't have any true connection to who we were, our cultural identity, and and who we are as being, yes, an Aboriginal Hawaiian, but who we are as being a Hawaiian national, a person of the Hawaiian Kingdom. And so, like a brief history.
Tell people what you mean by that. Tell me what you mean by that, because some people may be confused, thinking that, well, because Hawaii is a part of the Union, so they think, well, what's the difference between?
Yeah, as people believe, right? But we have uncovered truth in terms of international law. Our current status of the Hawaiian Kingdom, as it has proven in international law, is that we are actually, our independence, our status of being an independent country is still 100% in place today. So we actually, in international law, even though in American law we may be considered to be a state, we must consider the fact that what was the Hawaiian Kingdom previous to becoming a state. And so you ask that question, you go a little bit back, and of course you're going to say a territory of Hawaii. Yes, okay, so what were we before territory? The Republic of Hawaii. What were we before the Republic? The Hawaiian Kingdom, the country. And now you begin to ask the question, okay, how did we become a republic? Because being a republic implies a revolution, an internal revolution. Yet we have never had an internal revolution, a legal internal revolution. It was all bogus. It didn't ever happen. And so as we begin to speak about statehood and the Statehood Act of '59, we have to ask our question, does any American law have any jurisdiction outside of American borders? And of course, that question is answered with no. All American laws, independent of a country, is always dependent on the application of their own laws in their territory. So every country can only, in an independent country, their laws are the only ones that apply on their land. Yeah. And so in the United States, a state is actually a country. In international law, a state is a country. And so the states are a union, a union of independence, because you have state law and you got federal law. Yeah. Right. And so our state law is the ones that, of course, are applicable within our territory. But then the higher law on the federal level, it supersedes any state law if needed. So in the Hawaiian Kingdom, our question is, if we were a state, then we must prove the fact that American law is applicable outside of American land and American territory. And because the answer is no, and that no outside law can be enforced on the United States, like example, the United States can't go into Philippines and pass a law in the United States to annex the Philippines. You cannot pass an internal law that has any jurisdiction externally.
Right.
Yeah. And so the question is was our annexation a legitimate annexation, and what was it? Because annexation implies treaty. So now the question goes, do we have a treaty?
No.
And a treaty is a legal agreement between two heads of states. So did our queen in 1893, did she autograph, or the annexation 1898, did she autograph a paper document of a treaty of agreement to cede the United States, to cede the Hawaiian Kingdom to the United States? Do we have that? There's nothing.
Zip.
There's no treaty.
Okay.
None. So what actually took place, right? Speaking of the 4th of July, and it had a march in Hawaii on the 4th of July that started at Alamona Beach Park. It went all the way to a specific high school that was in the Hawaiian Kingdom called Honolulu High School. It changed its name to President William McKinley High School.
When was this?
This was about 100 years ago.
Okay.
It changed its name to William McKinley High School, which is the same school that the biggest actor on the planet right now, who is The Rock, who he graduated from. He graduated at McKinley High School.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who doesn't like Dwayne
original
Johnson?
Name is, of course.
He's got mana all over the place.
Yeah, he's a strong human. He's vibing,
Yes, he is.
But Honolulu High School had been the biggest public school at that time in the Hawaiian Kingdom, in Honolulu. And so we actually had a march that I didn't have the chance to attend, but our people did. And it ended at the statue of President William McKinley for one reason. Because this is the guy who decided that he was going to annex our islands at whatever cost. And so what he did was he tried to pass annexation on a handful of occasions, but Congress could not allow an executive order of an annexation to take place, because you cannot pass a law in the United States and it have jurisdiction outside of the United States. 1. 2, our people do not want to be annexed, proven by the Ku'e petitions, the anti-annexation petitions of 1898, where our people, the attorneys of the Hawaiian Kingdom and Hawaiian nationals, being the most educated people on the planet in the 1800s, they went around to the island chain to get autographs of everybody that was not for annexation. And at the same time that this was happening, the guys that were for annexation was also doing their petitions. And the guys that were for annexation got under 3,000 or 4,000 signatures. Anti-annexation over 50,000 signatures. And so this was presented to Congress. And so Congress could not pass this proposal for annexation of the Hawaiian Kingdom. So the significance of William McKinley was that he decided to take another round and do a joint resolution. And all a joint resolution is an agreement between the House of Representatives and the Senate on one specific bill. But that bill is an American bill, and it has no jurisdiction outside of American borders.
But they made it so.
Yeah, and the reason why they and how they did it, how every imperialistic country do it, they apply these laws, is they apply it through their military, and as it says in the Tao Te Ching, that any country that puts their investment in arms, in weapons, and in military is not a country of the Tao. And so it's super interesting because as you look at the United States being a Christian Christian country, it's the furthest thing away from being a spiritual and unified country. There's all kind of division in that, and that's because the origins. And so I really believe that a lot of the pain of the United States, a lot of the progress of the United States is going to be halted until it heals the biggest crime that it committed on another country, the Hawaiian Kingdom.
Yeah, and as well as other peoples as well, other peoples of color as well.
100%.
So yeah, absolutely. So let's. What was now? Was there this last 4th of July, this last weekend? Was there any marches or anything like representation there?
Oh yeah, brother. We are. As we can all see, our people are awakening. Our people are rising up. All over the planet. The consciousness is rising. The cosmos is shifting. So the energies on the planet and the energies in us as humans is in the middle of a huge cosmic shift right now. And so I call it a Kanaka awakening. Our people, our Kanaka, are awakening to who we truly are because of these specific events that is taking place and the action of our people. And so we had a couple marches. The 4th of July was, it's always a pretty big deal here because the biggest military that exists on the planet actually resides in the Hawaiian Kingdom. It resides in Oahu. 8 military bases in Oahu. And that's the reason why that Kim Jong-un, he was targeting Oahu for missile attack. He was targeting here because the militaries of the United States, the most 250,000 people that live within the Hawaiian Islands, is either active, guard, or reserve.
Oh, wow.
Almost 250,000 people, and so and they're at the disposal of the admiral of the Navy of the Pacific Command here in Hawaii. And so yeah, man, like a lot of stuff is taking place, a lot of education is taking place, and that's why I take a lot of the responsibility that I have in my lifetime extremely serious, about being an educator, because it's just through passing the information that will give the opportunity to give people to enter into a space of truth and higher living. And it just, it starts with education.
What, you talk about some of the Native Hawaiians are awakening, and tell me about what that looks like. I'm curious on how much support you're getting from other Hawaiians and what that looks like right now in the islands and also outside. It's so powerful, brother. It was because of, it made international headlines with, took place about a year ago exactly, where we had confirmation of specific organizations who were proposing a telescope being built on the highest mountain that is in Hawaii. Right? Did they stop that?
Yeah, it's halted right now.
Okay, yeah.
But it's not officially stopped. It's just halted right now because of COVID.
Because it was that was burial grounds, right?
No, it's actually the highest peak, from base to peak. Our mountain is the highest mountain on the planet. Oh. And so in terms of altitude, it's not as high as Everest, but in terms of height, it's 2,000 feet taller.
So why was it significant? Why was it significant to stop? Because I think that was the reason why they wanted to put that telescope up there, right? So they get clearer images from space. And
of course.
So why would they? What was the argument against it?
Oh yes. So one. Currently on that mountain, we already have 13 telescopes that are there. About 8 of them, if I'm not mistaken, about 8 of them are not being used or utilized, or not working, and they're not decommissioned. 2, all of this process of happening with all the telescopes that are up there already have been hurting the environment. Our entire mountain is protected through and under conservation law. And conservation law says that you cannot build any structure unless you can guarantee the the reinstatement and the healing of the current ecology of that area.
Okay.
You know, if you can heal and bring the environment back to its original status, then you can build.
Is it because?
But they.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
I was saying, is it because the building of these facilities disrupts the environment?
Oh, it disrupts everything, and it's the biggest aquifer in the Pacific, if I'm not mistaken. This is the biggest aquifer that feeds all of the water streams on that island. You know, so it affects the water. You know, and they can try to prove that it's not going to affect the water, but you know, it's been proven over and over and over again that it's not an eco-friendly process of building it. We are not anti-science, because the thing was that how the media was painting it was culture against science. You know, it was painting it that way because it tells a good story. Yeah, and it's not that at all, because if you understand us Kanaka and our history, the star observers, the top star observers on the planet, for over 2,000 years, who could travel across the biggest ocean without anything other than the stars, were Kanaka. It was our people. And so we are all about the stars. We are all about it. But there's more concerns that have to do with the planet right now than spending $1 billion on trying to escape the planet. You know, try to stay on the planet and fix where you are before you try to leave.
Well, we could leave. We could leave some of that to Elon Musk. He could spend his money.
Of course. Yes, he is doing that. Yes, of course.
I actually really love that dude. I really like the stuff that he's doing, but I'm glad he's doing it and not me. But
yes, true that, bro.
Okay, so when you, I'm still curious, like how much of if I was to go to Hawaii and do you have educational rallies or things that bring the people together to help support?
Oh, brother, they're massive. You know, because of this whole incident with TMT and the telescope, we have, you know, it sparked the third Hawaiian Renaissance. So these big events spark even bigger events. Hey guys, a quick question. This cord is not too good, but I think, you know, it goes on and off. Is there an extra cord do you have? I stay on the call right now, that's why I just want to hook up just in case I don't die, because this bug is dying right now. But sorry, bro.
That's okay.
The thing is dying right now. Yeah, sorry, bro. You just edit that bug out.
No, this is what I like about organic conversations. It's like
yes, organic, yeah. Yes, beautiful. Oh, thank you, Marcos. Mahalo nui, bro. Thank you, bro. Yes. So overall, brother, you know, this whole experience that was up on the mountain, it actually started the third Hawaiian Renaissance, you know, and that's a huge thing because one, we have had a few. Get this up. Okay, we're good to go. Okay, mahalo. So in the 1880s, we had our first Hawaiian Renaissance in the time of King Kalakaua. From 1820 and up, well, in the passing of King Kamehameha 1819, after he passed away, our culture, our old ways, our practices of hula, of chanting, of song, it went all underground because the Christian missionaries came and they banned everything.
Yeah, there was a push to everything. Like westernize everything.
Yeah, completely, and it was pretty successful. And so we come up to King Kamehameha V, who takes the throne in 1863, and he begins to shift things back to the old ways. And he has a profound impact on a teenage boy who is upcoming in school, Okavika Kalakaua, who would later become King Kalakaua. And King Kalakaua is known as the Merry Monarch. And he brought back hula. You know, there's a hula competition every year that is named after Kalakaua, the Merry Monarch hula competition.
Oh, okay.
And it's named in honor of King Kalakaua because he brought back all of our old practices. You know, he reintroduced all of the healing arts of our kahuna. He made it legal to be able to dance hula and to practice culture in public again.
It was illegal at one time?
It was illegal. It was completely illegal. You couldn't practice. You couldn't do any of this. Yeah, but at least our people could still speak our language at this time. Now, you fast forward a little bit. The illegal annexation of the Hawaiian Kingdom, 1898, in the time of the Spanish-American War, things began to move out of control after the illegal overthrow of our queen in 1893. Things began to just unravel. A couple years passed, and they passed the bill to actually become a territory of the United States. And our language is banned. Our language is completely banned. And you take into consideration that from the 1830s, in the proclamation of King Kamehameha III, he proclaimed, He aupuni palapala ko'u, meaning that his kingdom is going to be the kingdom of literacy. So he pushed to reinstate, to create an educational system that was extremely progressive at training people to expand in their wisdom of how to read and how to write in one language. And he created the first educational system that existed on the planet of its kind. And so people in the United States, people around all the European countries, they were actually looking to the Hawaiian Kingdom on how to create an educational system that could develop and prosper people of different ages in a different setting. So from 1830s up until the 1880s, the highest population of people that could read, write, and speak was the Hawaiian Kingdom. Our current day, we probably have maybe on every island, we maybe have 2 newspapers, a community newspaper that maybe comes out every month, and then the Star Advertiser that is the main newspaper. In the 1880s, we had 125 publications coming out a week.
Wow.
125.
That's
yeah,
amazing.
from independent people, from independent individuals that were in the Hawaiian Kingdom who knew the importance of passing on stories. And the reason is because 2,000 years, our people are oral people. We pass everything down through song, through chant, and through hula. We pass everything down through our leo, and that's why we train our people on how to control their voice. That's also why a majority of Hawaiians can sing.
Really?
You know, that's also why a majority of Hawaiians can sing very, very well. Oh, brother, I'll give you a playlist of Hawaiian music. You will never go back.
I have a couple playlists of like traditional Hawaiian music that I listen to when I'm out in my pool and stuff. My daughter wants me to put it on.
Oh yeah. Oh brother, it's and so our prosperity of our people was just climbing to exponential rates. We had the first school to the west of the Rocky Mountains in the beautiful island of Maui, in a beautiful place in Maui that was the capital of the Hawaiian Kingdom of Lahaina. The first school to the west of the Rocky Mountains. We had the creation of the overseas educational program is a creation of King Kalakaua in the 1880s. He actually created the entire infrastructure for being able to have people study abroad. And he deployed 18 Hawaiian nationals to travel across, and he positioned them in different schooling to educate them to come back and to lead a department in the Hawaiian Kingdom government. And so the progression was taking place in the time of Kalakaua. The illegal overthrow took place, annexation took place illegally, and then our people could not speak our language. From being the most literate people on the planet, the most educated people on the planet, we could not speak our language. In 2 generations, from being able to have like about 100,000 people or 250,000 people that were speaking fluent Hawaiian to under 2,000 in 2 generations. So we actually hear the stories of our ancestors being in school and being disciplined for speaking Hawaiian in school. They could not speak it, and they would get beaten in school, literally beaten at the dean's office. They could not speak Hawaiian.
Wow.
And I'm so honored to actually state that I come from the only high school who didn't officially ban the speaking of Hawaiian language in their halls. The only all-boys school in Hawaii, St. Louis High School. That's also the high school that is the school of the only Heisman Trophy winner in Hawaii, who is going to be the new quarterback of the Las Vegas Raiders. He was my quarterback our year, Heisman Trophy winner of Oregon Ducks, brother Marcus Mariota.
Oh, my God. Okay, yeah. I went to Oregon State, but not U of O.
Yeah. So he's the only Heisman Trophy winner to come out of Hawaii. He's my classmate. He's my quarterback.
Did you know? Just as a side comment, I'm sorry to interrupt. Did you know Ezra, who he played for Oregon State, was a center, went on to the Broncos for several years before he retired?
Wow.
You know who he is? Ezra, yeah, Big Ez.
Ezra. Oh, big ass. I have to look him up, my man.
He I forgot his last name, but he ended up after his NFL career was over in the mid 2000s, like 2005 or six. He ended up after he retired, got out of football. He came out of the closet and got married. And
Whoa.
Yeah, I met him. I met him in college. I remember I used to hang out with all the Hawaiian guys at Oregon State. Funny story. I was a pretty big dude in college. I was bodybuilder, 250 pounds. I'm only 5'7", and I hang out with these Hawaiian cats, and all these Hawaiian cats were bigger than me, right? Like especially Ezra. Ezra was like 7 foot. Dudes, He was like 380 pounds. I'm not kidding you, man. And he shook my hand first time, and it engulfed my hand. I was
hand collapsed.
And I was like, and I remember telling him, I was so naive. I remember talking to him. I said, Ezra, dude, like, how long have you been working out, bro? Like, you are massive. He's like, since I got to Oregon State, brother. That was just all homegrown, man.
Just built.
But we used to have, we'd have a Monday night spaghetti night. So they would go and they'd cook 10 pounds of meat and two sinkfuls of pasta. And if I didn't, noodles. I'm not kidding you. If I didn't get there, I'm chronically late to everything. If I didn't get there on time, if I was 15 minutes late, it was gone.
Gone, yeah.
And there was only 4 other Hawaiian dudes. And me.
You see, yes, pound.
I was like,
absolutely, brother.
It was fun though. No, but he was the only guy. He was the only. He was the only guy that I ever met in my life that I was intimidated by his sheer size. And I've known lots of big dudes. I'm not intimidated by big dudes, but he was. But when he opened his mouth, he was the sweetest dude, man. He was so nice.
Yeah. It was his presence. His presence. His energy, because like a special thing about us Kanaka people is we carry, a different energy. I met people from all around the world, as you have as well. Every time I come back home and I see a Kanaka, I see a Hawaiian, especially the beautiful essence of our women, our women carry different energy than other women. They just carry different mana. And as a Kanaka Maoli, every time I see another Hawaiian, it's because our ancestors knew our connection, our spiritual connection so deeply that when I see another Hawaiian, there isn't any need to say anything. A person can be halfway around the planet. If you see another Hawaiian, oh, brah.
I always say something. I always, man. And I got to know there is a little small Hawaiian community that lives here in the Tempe area. They seem to be all police officers. I'm not sure why.
Oh, brother, like, and like half of our men in Hawaii are police officers who are Kanaka.
I know some of my buddies who live there in Honolulu. Like one of them, Ernie Chan. He's a police officer.
Yes.
Shout out to Ernie.
Ernie.
Yeah, I like Ernie. Wonderful dude. I love him. But it just seems like I don't know if it's coincidental or if it's just whatever. But
it's the warrior spirit in our men.
Oh, okay.
It's our protective spirit in our men that inspire them to hold strong and to be something. Of course, all police departments are usually kind of like a fraternity, and so the
tribal
like
life,
club,
right?
Yes, and I have over 50 people that are in my family personally who are police officers.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I got a lot of people that I know who are police officers.
It's kind of funny because I was asked to be part of the when I was in college. I was coming up in the bodybuilding sort of ranks, and I remember when I was still going to college, and I remember some of my buddies who worked out the gym in Corvallis, Oregon, because I went to Oregon State. They were part of they were state troopers, and they were like, hey, they were always wanting me to join. They're like, hey, you need to join the force. You need to join the force. I'm like, this is for show, bro. I'm like, I'm not gonna do that. I just don't have that violent side of me, man. I'm like.
Yeah.
But they were all cool people, though. They were all good people.
Yes.
So I do agree though in the energy of Hawaiians. I feel when especially the men. I don't know a lot of women who like of Native Hawaiians who are women just because I'm not around a lot in my areas. But the ones I have known,
yes.
Most of the ones I've known that are from Hawaii are like Asian. They're Japanese or
Asians. Yes, Asians, Filipino.
Yeah. So, but the men that I've known that I knew were Native Hawaiian were they all have really. I always felt the connection. And part of it maybe it's because what was that?
No, it's pumehana, it's the warmth of
Yeah.
their love and their connection. Like all of us Hawaiian people, all of us Polynesian people, we are loving people.
Yes.
And
that's what I
and
sense.
like it comes back to the first scene in Moana, how our ancestors lived in community, in union, in peace and love, to protect and to prosper everybody for 2,000-3,000 years. And so that understanding and that feeling and that energy is in our DNA today, even though we've been displaced and put into this idea of Western society. Our souls, we actually yearn to have that connection to other humans, and we don't always have the opportunity to have that in a living space. And that's why it's so significant of the work that I'm doing here on the farms and what we're doing all over the island chain, about being able to create spaces for our Hawaiian people to come and to live how their ancestors did. Because it's when you live like your ancestors, it's when you speak the tongue of your ancestors, it's when you eat the food of your ancestors, it's when you commune like your ancestors, that you begin to activate your DNA. And when your DNA activates, it transmits information to your brain that allows you to now actualize and become who you really are, in comparison to becoming a thing that our society is telling you to be. Do you think
do you think that's similar to, like, for instance, like when a dog, you just like, I didn't teach my dog how to chase a cat or how to do this or how to, like, instinctively animals know how to do certain things. Like nobody goes to no squirrel goes to squirrel school to learn how to be a squirrel.
Of course.
Like, but we go to school to learn how to be good citizens, to learn how to be good people.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I'm curious, because what you're saying resonates with me, because I instantly always, and people who know me, who know my writing, who know me as a coach over the years, and know me as a person, know that I'm all about those two things that I focus on intensely: love and joy. That joy, that our purpose here is joy. It should be joyful, and that it should be through the modus of love. That's the most natural, energetic state that we have. And when I depart from those things, I feel uncomfortable. Yes, and highest, exactly, absolutely. And when I believe, and this is the part I want your 2 cents on. Do you think it's possible that somebody like myself and somebody like yourself, people who come from a community historically, from a DNA perspective or from a genealogical perspective, where our ancestors were island livers, they lived on islands where community was important, that somehow this information is transmitted to us, and that when I come close to it in my life, I could feel it, and it
awakens you.
Yes, and I desire it. And,
brother, it's absolutely, this concept of being in individual homes, it's a capitalistic concept, because you make money from people being divided, not united, but as you begin to see how, our concept here on the farm is being able to create a model of an eco village, of an ancestral village that has a school on it, that has a hospital on it, that has people that are on the property that are healers and who can take care.
So before you tell everybody what this is, because I think, I don't know if you introduced this topic yet, but tell everybody what's going on here with this project that you're doing, this Hawaiian communal living project, because you're hinting at it, and I want people to know about it, because I think it's really, really cool.
Okay, beautiful. Yes. So everybody, I'm gonna let you in on the view that is right behind me. So this right here is the beautiful Ahupua'a, or the land division of Maunalua, that is in the district, or the moku, of Ko'olauloa, Ko'olaupuko, on the island of Oahu. And we are at the base of a crater here on the farm. And this crater, people hike it every time they come to Hawaii. Me being an Uber driver for 2 years, I took plenty of people to this hike of Koko Head. But the actual name is Kohe Lepe Lepe. And there's a whole story behind that, but it's so important to reinstate the ancestral names, because the mana exists within the ancestral name, And so this project that we are working on right here is building a communal living space, and being able to build a village, and a concept where everybody can thrive off the land, can work the land, can live on the land, and can create experiences for people from the outside to come and experience an ancestral way of living. So our farm is still in its early stages of production. We actually have a full aquaponics farm over here. This whole property right here is about 6 acres. In the process of building a temple over here, we're turning it into a Hawaiian healing center.
How many people do you plan on living in the center?
So our aim on this property, I'm thinking in the next maybe year to 2 years, we can potentially have 30 people living here.
So do you see this
at
expanding?
least. Oh yeah, so our aim is to create this, is to create a model to be able to duplicate with the resources, with our infrastructure, to duplicate in different parts of lands on our island, on different islands, and on a global scale. Because as people, if people who are free-spirited, as we all once were, you hardly come across people in history who are timid people unless they were trained to be timid, because people come out of the womb pretty free-spirited until their parents begin, to encapsulate and imprison that free spirit. Yes, and so after people come here and they stay open, and it's the reason why we host plant medicine ceremonies, is because oftentimes people, they have an opportunity to get completely liberated out of their fear once they go through a process of plant medicine. Our plant medicines, our ancestors have utilized plant medicines all over the planet. Here in Hawaii, there's ava in different kinds. If you go to Brazil, you have ayahuasca. You go to different areas around the planet, they have mushrooms. And these all played a significant role in the prosperity of the common union, of the community, of the communion of the people that were living with one another.
That's amazing. That's pretty awesome, man. I think that's exciting. That sounds.
Oh, brother, it is. This concept and idea came into this consciousness about a year and a half ago, and it manifested at a total different level. This is a beautiful place, and I want to encourage all of your listeners and all of your people that if you plan to come to Hawaii, and if you need a place to stay in comparison to being in the hotels and you want to be in the community, our goal is to have a lodging. Our goal is to bring people here and to give them experiences and give them an itinerary. We're going to give them an opportunity to walk on the land. We're going to feed them from the food on our land. We're going to have our campfires and bonfires. I'm putting up a teepee to hold plant medicine ceremonies. We're going to be transforming the individual consciousness so that the collective consciousness is impacted positively. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's awesome, man. That is awesome. And then you see that then potentially when you work out sort of all the kinks in the model, if you will, then you're gonna hopefully roll this out or encourage it to be rolled out in other places in Hawaii or other places in the world.
Yeah, brother, it is actually, it's already beginning. We actually have people that are in our community who have been speaking to a couple of our people who are living on this property, who have pieces of land that is not being used, and they're interested in turning it into a retreat center and are looking to us to see how this model turns out. But this model is proven to work because I'm a Kanaka. We are ancestral beings. When we just look to Okava Mohope, the time of the past, then it's easy to create Okava Mamua, the time of the future, now, through our ancestral consciousness. And so Ike Kupuna, ancestral wisdom, is at the foundation of everything that we as humans should look to, because we've only began to go on a path of calamity the past maybe 1,000 years. But it really amped up in the 1800s, in the time of empire. And so our important, tool is when we can look back to how our ancestors lived and prospered for thousands of years, and we look to that, and can we utilize our technology of today to speed that process up so that everybody can come back to source. Because when everybody returns to the land, when they return to Aina, they return to their earth mother, then everybody gets healed automatically. There's no need for teachers. When you go to the land teaches you. There's no need for teachers. There's only need for tour guides. Yes.
So this is like
So
you're not like this isn't like off the grid kind of a commune kind of a thing, right?
So So currently, no, just because it's in Oahu, and so there are only a handful of places on Oahu that you could go off grid with. And we can definitely go off grid here.
Oh, look, I think I see a
and keep
lizard right
away.
behind you. I think I see a lizard crawling on your wall right behind you, up top near the lights.
Oh yes, yes.
I couldn't help it, man. I
Yes,
love lizards.
everywhere around here.
I love lizards.
Yes.
So,
But we just overall, man, this concept of being able to bring people back to the land, is everything, and people around the planet think, it's such a hippie thing, because like the hippies have been labeled with
Right.
this kind of this outside ideology that they're just lost. But I spent, I just came back about a week ago. I actually did a 2-week trip. For 2 weeks, me and my two good friends, we actually fasted, and I spent us three spent 8 days to walk around the entire island of Oahu. And we just walked, and we were detached, we unplugged, and we fasted the entire time. We only ate if spirit provided.
what do you mean by that?
And then we actually spent, so we only ate if we passed by a tree and there was mangoes on it and it was ripe and we're gonna eat mangoes. We had, and the three of us only carried a little bit of cash to pick up coconut water, to pick up a little bit of water. And we actually trekked over, in those 8 days, we trekked over 125 miles.
Wow.
And yeah, we walked,
You got your steps in.
and it was a fulfilling, a painful,
Tell me what you
a truthful experience.
Yeah, tell me what how it manifested for you. Like, what was your experience?
Oh, you know what, brother? The aim was to go on this spiritual path to prepare our energies to enter into a new stage. Because as we can all see around the planet, our cosmos is shifting, the energies are increasing, things are changing within us all. Especially because of like just this past month with all the retrogrades taking place, so much things were taking place around the planet. Our system, our old system is collapsing, and a new system is coming in. It's coming in, and it's our generation that is the pioneers of this new system and this new life. And so we were aiming to prepare ourselves to enter into this new system and to lead our people in a way that is pono and pa'a, that is upright, that is established, but is truthful and righteous and balanced. And so in these 8 to 9 days, we just had exponential uploads and downloads about ourselves, about the specific issues in our life that is causing us to hold back our energies. And then we spent 4 days in Maui. And we actually took a trip to Maui to have an ayahuasca experience in Maui. I've had the intention to have an ayahuasca experience.
I have too. You know that.
Ever since, yes, I've had that intention since the first time I heard the interview of Yates on the beautiful show of London Real. His first show that he did a big interview on.
Yeah.
And he was speaking about ayahuasca. I had that intention immediately because he's in the top 3 of my all-time favorite pros ever. And it's because of his intensity and his truth. And I knew, this changed him. I was stuck in this place where I was trying to figure out who I was, and I was in bodybuilding, and I was in pain. And, a 6-time Mr. Olympia speaks of this, and that it liberated his consciousness. And it really made a difference for me. And so if you're listening on this podcast, Brother Dorian, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, brother, for making an impact. Please come to Hawaii, because everybody that I'm building this land with, they are Brazilian. And his wife is pure Brazilian. And his entire gym chain is in Brazil, and he's making things happen. And so I would love for you to come down over, Brother Darian. And I love you, man. Thank you for all of the work, brother. And so we spent 4 days in Maui, and we actually spent these three days, our last 3 days, we actually spent on this property in Kipahulu, and it's off grid, a prosperous community built land. This place is about 6.5 acres approximately. The place is flourishing, everybody there works on the land. They don't need to pay for anything. They come, they contribute to the land, and they come there to expand in consciousness and to liberate themselves from everything. The interesting thing was that these people never did have a Hawaiian really on the property intentionally. So all these people that were in the hippie, this eco village, all these people are quote unquote haole. They aren't from Hawaii. They are all foreigners, of different backgrounds, Indian, had Caucasians, Italian, all kind of different people, but they're not from Hawaii, and they've never had the chance to build a bridge with the Hawaiian community. And a close friend of mine who is an entrepreneur, an innovator, he's probably in the maybe 3 to 5 people that I would consider to be of chiefly consciousness in our males, and he took us there and to have an ayahuasca ceremony, and we ended up not having an ayahuasca ceremony. I ended up hosting ceremony with I ended up hosting ceremony for 30 people with Ava or Kava, as people call Kava. This is Kava right here. This is Kava.
So what is Kava? I don't know much about Kava. Tell me about it.
I will shoot you a bag of Kava. I'll give you medicine, brother, and I'll give you a couple of these things that are on the property that are here to heal you, brother. I'll ship you medicine.
Oh, perfect, man. That's awesome. I would love it. You're gonna have to walk me through what to do with it.
Oh, everything. Oh, brother, everything, brother. And we had spent 3 days there. We didn't have an ayahuasca ceremony. I ended up hosting an Ava ceremony. But the important thing about this entire village is that the people there, they're living like our ancestors. They're all commune. They are balanced. They live off the land. They work on the land, and they eat every meal together.
Nice. So it really is a sense of community.
Oh, it is a phenomenal.
And it
was a phenomenal space.
This is one of my contentions. It's one of my contentions that this is part of the piece that, in the United States at least, in Western culture, that we've lost a sense of community.
It's missing.
Yeah, and it gets expressed like we've lost family values, but it's more than family values. It's this.
Yeah, it's deeper.
It's deeper. It's a connection to each other, a responsibility that we feel towards the well-being of each other. Because when one is suffering, then we all really suffer eventually.
Really, brother, 100%. That's why when we speak about a concept of communal living and building a place where all of our people can thrive, it's so crucial, because like a lot of this kind of understanding and these concepts come out in community. And that's why when people live in individual homes, they have to join clubs to have community. They have to go to the YMCA. They have to go to church to have community, because their community within their home.
Yeah, or your community gets real small because it's your home. It's your family. It's only your family.
Yeah. And there's conflicts because everybody's craving for community. And they're individualistic. They're raised in an educational system that automatically it creates opposition, because you're in elementary, intermediate, and in high school. You enter into a sports team, and it's all about competition, because the consciousness of the Romans are all about competition. It's all about opposition, and they lose this ability to really connect truthfully. And then you introduce Instagram and Facebook, and then it divides it even more and makes an illusion of connection. But it's not really connection, because connection can only come from heart center. And so as people come together in truth, thank you so much, then our hearts are able to connect to one another in the highest frequency that exists, in love. In aloha.
That's amen. That's good. I love this stuff, man. This is what I've been craving for probably most of my life.
Yes.
It's just hard to get. And I come at an advantage because I have an identical twin brother who I have a deep connection with.
Beautiful.
But the problem with it is that it has, in my life, I've noticed that it has highlighted for me the lack of connection everywhere else.
Yes.
So it's like, I want this with every friend that I have. I want this with every girlfriend that I've ever had, every wife that I've ever had.
Yes.
Every person that I connect with. I want a deeper connection. I want to communicate as from one loving being to the next.
Yes, and brother, what, we all crave that. At one level or the other, the people that have a tough time in life is because they are absent of connection. They aren't connected to themselves, and therefore, how can you plug in to anything when you're not even holding your own plug? You don't even know how to connect and to plug it into somewhere.
That's right.
You know, and you know, as we and you know,
Well,
the thing is that, you know, you brother, what I'm gonna highly encourage you to do, you know, especially as you plan your trip to come to Hawaii, which is gonna be soon, I'm pretty sure.
oh yeah,
Um,
it's coming.
the connection that I have had to people has deepened tremendously because of the implementation of plant medicines. I've come to realize, you know, like a lot of people that are in our Hawaiian community, they actually ask me, you know, how come I got to use plant medicines like a Hawaiian wood rose seed, a blue Mayan mushroom, a golden teacher, or even ayahuasca at that? How come I have to take that to have my ancestral consciousness? Our kupuna never have that. But yes, our kupuna did not have buildings. Our kupuna were not isolated. Our kupuna had land. Our kupuna had everything that we don't have. And so to help us to reconvene that consciousness, intaking plant medicines can allow us to reconnect to our deepest selves and reconnect to our highest selves. And so that as we live in center and in balance, in connection to the heavens, in connection to the earth, then we can begin living a life of truth. Up to that point, we are always going to be we're always going to be open for other people's opinions and how they define us. But when we get into plant medicines, oh my goodness, it transforms relationships, brother.
Do you think, and I've often wondered about this because I've done a lot of research on ayahuasca and on DMT and on these kind of psychedelic mushrooms and so forth, and some of these plant medicines that cause this kind of effect of disassociation. So what that's the way I'm describing it, is that you get disassociated with the ego. So they often describe it as
yes.
They often describe out of body experience. I leave my body,
Yes.
I launch into outer space, I go into this, and all I am is just consciousness. But the common thread in that consciousness is, and I'm connected to everything.
You're connected.
It's like,
and in essence, you know, it was in the words of the Buddha, if I'm not mistaken, it is not that you are not connected, because you can never not be connected.
Right.
It's the awareness of that
right?
connection. You know, and so these plant medicines help us to grow to that awareness, to recognize our oneness.
Yeah, I've heard it described this way, and this really resonates with me, that when you take something like ayahuasca or some of these other psychedelic, what's considered psychedelics or substances that cause this kind of disassociation from ego, that when you ego is who we think we are.
Yes.
Connection is who we actually are.
Absolutely.
And so when you strip away what you think, and you're just left with who you really are, then people have this experience.
Exactly.
And I think, and I've always wondered if that's what you think it is.
Yeah. That's why when, you know, brother, I have had the honor, you know, I kicked this off in our last conversation about a year and a half ago, and it was really at that time that I began to utilize plant medicines pretty intentionally. But I had been speaking to my ancestors. It was unlocking a lot of things that I knew that a lot of the people that are utilizing plant medicines are not taking it with the intention of it being plant medicine, but being a fun way to trip. It hasn't been kept in a kapus, heavily sacred, holy, put to the side, isolated and sanctified. You know, the power comes when you are holy. You know, it's like it says in the Bible, the people that are of God are the ones that are sanctified, those that are holy, those that are clear from all the worldly things, that have this connection to source that is so pure and so light-giving that it transforms everybody around them. And it's at that point that you're saved. And that's when you're saved. You know, and so this concept, brother, of plant medicines that I've been implementing is, these past 18 months I've hosted over in terms of experiences and ceremony, I've hosted almost 80 ceremonies in the past year and a half. You know, I have I have hosted tremendous ceremonies that have liberated people from addictions, that have impacted people.
Are you acting like a shaman, or is that technical, so to speak?
A kahuna.
A kahuna.
A kahuna.
What does that mean?
Yeah. So a kahuna, the term kahuna means keeper of secrets, the keeper of wisdom, keeper of ancestral wisdom. Because if ancestral wisdom comes out to a person and they're not prepared for it, then it's going to be distorted, perverted, and then oftentimes it's going to be utilized for any kind of development, personal ambition, and self-interest. So our kahuna's responsibility was to keep the wisdom for only the ones that are prepared to have that wisdom impart upon them. So a sage, a kahuna, and a shaman, all the same concept of spiritual masters. So I've had the honor, and it's like, I've been told that I'm a kahuna.
Oh, you're a kahuna, brother. You're absolutely. I can tell you that you're a shaman guy. It's just sometimes we don't see ourselves this way.
yeah, and it's oftentimes a thing where, especially in our own communities, there are a lot of people, who say like, who are you to claim yourself to be a kahuna? And I always respond, hey, I'm not claiming anything. There are people that have told me that, but I can tell you right now, the other realm and source, their insight and their wisdom comes above all. I don't need any approval by any man, any acceptance by any man to become who I'm called to be. And I explain to everybody in my family, who question this kind of stuff, hey, you cannot say anything accurately until you sit in ceremony with me. Until you sit in ceremony with me, it's an uneducated, misinformed opinion, and you can keep that stuff to yourself because it's based on self anyway.
Right, exactly. No, you're absolutely. I love it. I love it, man. Because I agree 100%, man. We all come from a perspective. We all come from our own unique perspective, and we have to. I've been talking about this the last couple of months because of all the stuff that's been going on with like Black Lives Matter and all these groups that are rioting and protesting, which I'm all for equality and equity for everyone. But I think that what's missing is deep listening. That before you could ever come to the table,
100%,
you got to listen first. You got to understand your opposition. You have to understand them first before you could ever bring your point to the table. You can't do it.
100%, brother. And those conversations are reserved. Our ancestors knew those conversations are reserved for only a ceremony. Those conversations are only held in ceremony.
I think that's wise.
Because it's isolated and people prepare for the ceremony. You have a mediator and a host. This whole concept that you have probably heard of Ho'oponopono.
No. What's that mean?
Oh, so Ho'oponopono has been inherited from a couple of the healers that are on The Secret,
Oh, sure.
The movie. A couple of the healers on there have came to Hawaii, had training by kahuna, and they turned it into like a certification to have Ho'oponopono.
Oh,
like
Michael
things.
Beckwith, and he
yes,
has his Agape Center.
Which they're all amazing. But this consciousness, that can help people shift. It takes place in ceremony. Like a big example of that is when our ancestors had issues with a chief on another island, and they're contemplating war. That chief will come to say the chief of Hawaii or the chief of the Kingdom of Oahu would be aiming to go to war, but his cousin is the king of Oahu, and he doesn't really want to do that. And so he comes here, and they come, and the first thing that they have is they have Ava, and they have their conversation over Ava. And the reason is because this plant medicine is a reflection, is a kinolau, a plant form of God, of Kane, who is the creator and the rebalancer of all things that are on the earth plane, Kane. And so as we're communicating, we enter into protocol. You fully cleanse yourself. You fast for 2 to 3 days. You come. It's hosted and facilitated. You drink Ava even before we have any conversation. We pray. We chant. We sing and we drink Ava. And then we have a conversation so that the frequency is higher, the energy and the consciousness is grounded, and our ego is put to the side because of ceremony. Oh brother, I have hosted some with 3-4 people that are just battling and they need ceremony. They come and they ask me to host a ceremony for them, and we come together and we heal families.
I think we need to.
We heal families.
I think we need to write President Trump and see if he can do it. If you can do a ceremony with that dude.
oh, brother, I tell you right. It
may not work. I don't know.
It's a trippy thing, brother. Because I'm in this process of trying to speak to our political leaders in Hawaii to get them into ceremony, because our council of chiefs of our ancestors, our council of chiefs knew that if there's any agreement to be made, if there's any issue to resolve, we have to do it over Ava. We have to do it in kapu ceremony, because as you make an agreement with me, we confirm it by drinking Ava. We confirm it with God. Us today have an autograph on a paper that doesn't even, and it's an autograph that we created when in the 8th grade, and we're still using, this freaking autograph today. But Ava is literally a covenant maker. It helps people to have an understanding of who they are, and it grounds them to who they are. And that's the power of ceremony. People that are not grounded are not people that are fit for leadership, because only the ones who can walk on the ground and fly with the eagles can actually connect and relate to everybody in between.
Wow, I love it, man. I think that's such a different kind of perspective than what we oftentimes do. I think these days we meet in a realm of anger and hostility, and we expect good outcomes. And
yes, and it's trippy because if the energy is too masculine, if it's heavy, it's too heavily, it's destructive.
Yep, that's right. It serves its purpose in life. It can have its purpose.
It serves its purpose,
but
it needs to be maintained.
Yeah, and mediated. Speaking of,
it needs to be managed. Yeah.
Speaking of ceremonies and God, and so tell me about the Native Hawaiian religion. Is there
beautiful? Yeah, we are in the process of reinstating that. And so, I truthfully believe that as our people begin to expand and to grow, we really need to begin to re-implement a new God system, or an older God system that is updated, because right. our old religion, the kapu system, it's comprised of all kinds of different things, but it's based on seasons. And so each of the main gods, the 4 main gods, is Kane and Kanaloa. And Kane is everything that has to do with life. So from the heat of the core of the earth to the fresh springs that come out onto the earth's plane, to the waters of the waterfall and the rains that come down into our streams, to the heat of the sun of the sky, that is Kane. And then you have Kanaloa, who is everything of the ocean. Yeah, Okia'i o Kamoana. Yeah, the protector of the deep. The protector of the deep, and he has his manifestations in whales and in specific fishes that are indigenous to Hawaii. That's Kanaloa. So our each of our chiefs that have a sperm whale tooth on their, I'll hit you up in pictures to put on top of this as well to kind of slide it in. Here's a picture of Kakuhiheva, and he has a sperm whale fang that is hanging on a lei that is a cordage of his ancestors' hair. So all of our chiefs, they held a cordage of hair that is braided, that if it's expanded, it's over 2 miles long.
Wow.
This cordage is flipped back and forth to create this thick bunch that is comprised of every one of his ancestors' hair, so that when he adorns himself,
he has the power of his ancestors. He adorns
himself with the mana of his kupuna.
Right. Wow, that's powerful. That's powerful, man. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I like that.
And his pendant is the fang of a sperm whale. And the fang of the sperm whale is heavily significant because of Kanaloa. And Kanaloa of the ocean, our ancestors came here because of Kanaloa. They came here because of the ocean. Our kupuna are wayfinders. So as they come to Hawaii, the sperm whale and the humpback whale is deified to Kanaka, because as the sperm whales come in and as the humpbacks come in, this is a manifestation and a reminder of our ancestors. The people of New Zealand, the people of Tahiti, they all have the same consciousness, because the whales are the protectors of the ocean. They're the peaceful ancestors of the ocean.
I love, by the way, whales are so majestic. They're so wonderful.
Oh, brother, and oh man, it's
but
mother.
I'll tell you what the animal that I fell in love with when I came to Hawaii when I visited for the first time was the green sea turtles. I was just like, wow, these things are just so cool.
And they're everywhere, bro. And our to encapsulate all of that, we have Kane and Kanaloa, and then you have Ku. Ku is the masculine. So if Kane is earth, if Kanaloa is water, then Ku is gonna be fire.
Okay.
He's Shiva. Yeah, he's all about masculine, and oftentimes a little bit too masculine, right? And so if you go to parts of Hawaii that are very, very hot, you will see a different Hawaiian in comparison to being in a place in Hawaii that is more wet.
When you look at if you travel around all the islands of Hawaii, you'll encounter just about every climate almost.
Oh, brother, we have the highest amount of ecosystem zones on the planet that exists within our island chain, and so the ecosystems in existence is 37 ecosystems.
Wow.
that are logged in terms of a life zone, and the country that comes after us is the country of Brazil, that is as big as the United States in landmass. It's as big as the United States in landmass, Brazil. Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt. I want to get that last one. I'm guessing the last god you were naming for is air.
Yes, is
somebody who represents air.
Air.
The feminine.
Air is Lono.
Okay.
Yeah, and so he's considered, in the mainstream, he's told to be the god of peace. But Lono, Rongo, he's the Kahuna god.
By the way,
he's the balanced masculine.
That's the one that I resonate with. Before I was told that the air is my elemental sign.
Air is your no. You have plenty air in you, brother. It's even in your voice.
Oh, really?
You actually breathe. As you speak, you actually have a real airy voice.
Oh.
It's comforting. It's comforting. And so, if you haven't ever kind of thought of actually being a voiceover,
absolutely have. It's something that deeply interests
books. Me. Yes, because you have a good voice tone. All the people.
When I was in high school, and college, I had girlfriends that would just want me to call them and talk to them before they went to bed.
Because it's so comfortable.
Right.
I'm the same way, my man. Hey, I call my girl. She's like, "Love, I just got to hear your voice because the frequency is healing."
Yeah. I love
it. The frequency is healing. But and yeah. So there's Kane, earth. Okay. There's Kanaloa, water. There's Ku, who's fire, and there's Lono, who is air, and they all have a manifestation in these elements in our earth plane.
I'm interested in this kind of stuff because I found that when you start tracking people's personalities, you really see who you get along with, and when you match up these elemental signs, sometimes the truth comes right out. Like my ex-wife, my second wife, who I got divorced. We got divorced there about 5 years, almost 6 years ago, 5 years ago. Her sign is, guess what it is? It's fire.
She's fire.
Yeah, and we like this, button heads on everything.
Yes, and always. I
couldn't do right for wrong by this woman, even no matter what I did, and it had to do with the energy that I had was too powerful for her, I think, and she got and it offended her, and so I think.
Yes.
But whatever the case, it makes total sense to me, man, because somebody told me that.
Yeah. But it's the concept of balance, being pono, like Lono, being pono like Lono. Yeah, because he comes in, there's 2 seasons in Hawaii. There's Ku Ka'ilimoku. Ku Ka'ilimoku is our season right now. And as you can see, it's very, very hot, but it's a hot that increases and rises as things move. And then in mid-October, ending of October, you enter into this new season that's called Lono Ika Makahiki. And lono ika makahiki means that it's the season of lono, the time of lono. And lono, he manifests himself in cloud formations, in rain, in specific rains that come from the ocean that are super heavy. You know, I mean, it rains every day in Hawaii, but it's oftentimes a misty rain to just bring a sprinkle.
And it's like 5 minutes and then it's gone.
It's lili noi, you know, it comes to hydrate. It comes to hydrate. It comes to give you a shower. You know, Earth needs a shower every day, just like humans.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and so it comes, but in the time of lono, we rarely get these. It's always coming down like
That's the earth. That's the.
It's strong. Yeah, right. But you see, a person like you who is lono, all of our kahuna people, the people that are higher consciousness and balanced people, they oftentimes they come to the standpoint of balanced consciousness as a kane, as a male. But the important thing to understand about lono is that he's oftentimes perceived automatically, because he's the god of peace. He's perceived to be a little bit passive. He's perceived to be a little bit softer. Which in a Western context is oftentimes associated with weakness, right, and being a little bit on the feminine side. But that is true, because that's a part of the equation. We all have that. But in that time of year when lono is coming, and you see 8-mile stretch across the ocean of clouds, and it's thundering and lightning, and it's moving toward you, that's not feminine, bro. That's masculine. But he's coming to cleanse. That's the important thing. He and Ku have different energies of the masculine. He comes to bring cleansing power. And how he cleans, it's kind of like if you see a divine masculine who is not arrogant, is so confident, is so truthful, can speak his mind, but can be compassionate. He's strong, but he's graceful. He's fierce, but he has peace in his heart. You know, this understanding of a divine masculine that all of our women look for, that after a man comes to this higher level of consciousness, this higher state of living, then you don't need to pursue any women. They find you.
Yeah,
it's because every woman is looking for that manna. They're looking for that truth of the male that can be stern but vulnerable. Who can coach, who can administrate, who can help you to become who you are outside of self-interest. That's the divine masculine. And lono is that. Even though he's known as the god of peace, before peace, you must rebalance. And rebalancing oftentimes takes power and force to do so.
So is this the basis of the natural? These four gods are the basis of the natural Hawaiian religion.
Yes. But the important thing to also take it to mind is that these specific gods were introduced to us around 1050 AD. The people of Tahiti came to Hawaii. The people of Tahiti, who had a leader, the high priest, he goes by the name of Pa'ao, and Pa'ao was, he's told in the Christian consciousness to be like a sorcerer of power and witchcraft, which in many senses he potentially was, but he came here to reorganize her infrastructure, to expand, and to maintain and to manage a large landmass so that we could prosper, because our people before that was told to have a little bit loose kind of infrastructure. They were just living in community. There was no, there wasn't too much leadership. And so Pa'ao came and he reinstated leadership. He brought the ali'i system. He introduced chiefs to Hawaii. It was Pa'ao.
And the religion was a part of that.
And yes, and so he brought otane, kane, tu, ku, rongo, lono, e tangaroa, who's kanaloa. So he brought these from Tahiti.
My interpretation, I went to seminary and I studied religion and ethics and theology. And the way although I'm not very religious today by any stretch of the imagination, I'm very spiritual, of course. But I see this kind of a thing. Really, each religion that you see expressed in different communities, different geographies all over the world and throughout history is really just expressions of how of the sensibilities of the people and what they need. So
100%, and their environment.
Right? So we're affected. We live in bodies, so we're affected by the bodies we live in. We're affected by the places that we live, and we're affected by the connections that we form. And so,
it transforms everything. Yes, it transforms everything. And so, yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, when you look at the religious practices and ceremonies of those locales, not the ones that were brought in. I'm talking about the ones that are native, that spring up naturally from organically from the people. And those are some oftentimes you can get a really good insight into the people themselves and what their needs are. And I think when they live that way organically, these religions or these ways of being are organically growing into the cultures, that those are the kinds that really have the most power to provide what we need religion to provide, which is a basis for family and community.
Yes, to be able to create an infrastructure of a worldview, a philosophy that can help you to be in union with your environment. The important thing that I always explain to people that I take on tours, and I constantly tell in our ceremonies is that, the main reason why our Kanaka people are a unique people on the planet, if not, we are so extremely unique in terms of our philosophy on how to live in union to the land. The biggest reason is because we live in a place that is the most unique place on the planet. And so the ecosystems that exist, I'll come back to that. In Brazil, you have 18 of the 37 ecosystems in Brazil. And it's the size of the United States. You come to Hawaii, 1/300th of the United States. 1/300th. You have 28 of the 37 ecosystems.
Wow.
Yeah, and so because of that, it creates a people that are
connected,
extremely skilled and diverse, extremely connected, built on a philosophy and a worldview that promotes this connection.
And then when you take it away and you disenfranchise them,
you dismantle the people.
You dismantle the people. And so I just look at what's going on currently, economically, socially, in the state of in the Hawaiian Kingdom or the state of Hawaii. You'll see I'm disappointed that the local people don't thrive as much as they should, as much as they once did.
Oh, brother, yes, and all that stuff is changing. It has to change. It must change, and the people that I'm connected to in our spaces, we understand our kuleana, our responsibility, our privilege to be Kanaka and to come back to Aina and to stand strong. Brother, he was a good example of that, which you were speaking about how the protests, BLM protests, things were happening here, brother. We actually had a full weekend 3-4 weeks ago, a full weekend of protests from Thursday to Friday all the way to Sunday, and it exponentially grew. And the peak protest had 10,000 people on it. Okay, and we have to keep in mind that on that Tuesday we had intel of potential threats to Hawaii to cause agitation and rioting, and it had intel because of our flight attendants who were overhearing people because all the flights were empty, and so there were only a handful of people that were on the flights, and they could overhear them talking. And we had good intel and insight that there could potentially be conflict.
Was there
in these marches? And so me as a Kanaka, who is a Ku Kanaka but also a Lono Kanaka, that shit is not gonna fly. It's not gonna happen. It's not happening on my land. Yeah. And so I put out a call, a kahea, to my Instagram and Facebook community, and in 2 days I had almost 100 Kanaka that were prepared to stand and to be a security peace force of these marches. And so I put them together. We organized, had walkie-talkies, earphones, all in uniform. We were dispersed amongst the entire Honolulu district, all in the cities. We had a couple people who were in our organization, but like a little bit distant, who were prepared and had been armed and had concealed weaponry just in case anything went down. Hey, brother, we got on conference calls. We trained each other. I trained everybody. We organized and we mobilized. And we came to these marches with all of these people that, a majority of them are foreigners. Yeah, because this movement of Black Lives Matter, it's a foreign movement. And they were coming here. We were hearing about these threats. And the people in these movements were like, they actually began to paint a picture of us as Kanaka, who were not in favor of the Black Liberation Movement, which the first BLM is the Black Liberation Movement of the Black Panthers and Islam. Yeah, this concept of Black Lives Matter, it's a divisive concept, unfortunately, because it just isolates one people, and then as people want to have unity and say that all lives matter, they condemn it and they say, this time Black Lives Matter, fuck all lives matter. Understandable. As a Kanaka, these people who are in BLM, they call Hawaii their home, but it's not their home. This is Kanaka's home. And so, if you guys are going to come into our territory, into our land, and think that you have the first and last say, you are very, very misled. Us as Kanaka have the first and last say, and it's not, it's not a request.
My take is that if you don't contribute to the local community, you don't have a voice.
100%, brother.
I call you family. I call you family.
Yeah.
I call you family in my house when you come and you participate. When you
give
and
you be present.
I
be present. Yeah.
I liken it very closely to feelings of appreciation. So when you appreciate the land, for instance, you're adding value to it. You're taking care of it. When you appreciate your family, you're adding value to your family, right?
Absolutely, brother.
So I think the same kind of concept. So when people come outside, if you're going to march in, I get it, and I'm all for, people equality and all these things. Absolutely. I'm not for violence, and I don't think any of that stuff does any good. And I'm also not for exclusion. I don't believe in exclusion.
No, yes.
I don't believe in that.
Well, because truth is inclusive, not exclusive.
Right. So that's why I say, okay, I understand the Black Lives Matter movement, and I support that, but I also support that I would rather talk about similarities than differences. When you say Black Lives Matter, what you're really doing is you're highlighting the differences. Even though the intention is supposed to be is positive. The intention is pure.
Yes.
But it doesn't matter, because look what kind of resistance you get from people who go, well, what about my life? It's like, we're not talking about
it's always important to have clear intentions. I'll explain to all of my guys, pure intention is where it all starts, but pure intention has to be received.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
It has to be received as being pure intention, and pure intention is going to come when a person feels like you care about them and not just yourself, and so we as people, it comes back to our communal living concept, our community as humans, the human community, us as mankind, have to begin to get better at building truthful, honest, and heart-driven connective relationships that are not based on self, but based on you first, based on me second, and everybody wins. So it's an all equal playing field. You win, I win, everybody wins, right? It's being able to pinpoint and to be able to identify every win-win-win solution. Yeah, not just win-win solution. Because you're going to win, I'm going to win, everybody going to win, everybody's going to benefit and prosper if we make this decision together.
Right.
And that's why I come back to the fact of it's so important to have ceremony. Because if people are frustrated because they are at a job that they can't pay their bills and their boss that they don't like is breathing down their neck, and they come home to a wife who has the same thing happening at her job, and they don't have the training on how to keep their emotions in good management, they're going to come home, not understand their energy. They're going to project that energy upon their spouse. They do that long enough, then you create a divorce, then that just causes a ripple effect of karma within your line. And that shit is unacceptable. It's not happening. And so we need education for our people all around the planet in a connection to self, a connection to others, a connection to land. Aloha akua, aloha kanaka, aloha aina. Yes.
I can't wait to make a trip out there and sit down in ceremony with you, brother, and talk. It's that.
Brother, anytime you are ready, in actuality, because of the quarantine, this is a great time for people to get healing in Hawaii, because you cannot leave the premises for 2 weeks. And so, you come to the farms and you're going to be staying here for 2 weeks, if the quarantine stays. But after the quarantine lifts, brother, the plane tickets are super cheap, my man. You have a place to stay. You have a community here. Brother, you got everything you need, my man. And that's why it takes so much honor in being able to have this position now at this farm, because I'm connected to so many people around the planet. I could never house them because I lived with my parents and my mom them don't want anybody in the house. And so they're paying $350 each night at the Marriott for a room that they're only sleeping at.
Right.
They're coming home at night to sleep at it. But when you come to the farm, our thing is going to be like $100 a day. But if you work on the farm, it's going to be reduced to like about $65 plus. And we give you a tent, you eat off the land, and we're going to give people a community vehicle as well. And we tour them around. And we take them around personally.
Have you put together like a website or something about your community yet?
So we are in the process of doing all of that.
Okay. What's the name of your
people
community?
In the community. So it's pretty interesting because the farm names is just SUN, the Sun Farms, and this community. It's pretty interesting because I was called to this land, and when I heard of the name, the sun, I'm named after the sun. It's Kala. I'm named after the sun. And so, I came here and I was like, wow, this farm's is like, it's calling me. And so as we begin to build.
You know what my last name means?
The sun?
It means the rising sun.
The rising sun.
Yeah.
Inoye.
Inoye. That's right.
Inoye. Oh, the rising sun.
It has several meanings, but that's one of it. That's the most popular one that it has in Japanese.
Yeah. A thing that I'm going to text you, brother, and to add a link into this for all of the listeners, is this specific chant that is chanted in the beginning as the sun is rising every morning. So like each of our kupuna and each of our kahuna holds a ceremony who, if they live on the east side and if you can see the sun, like if you head to the island of Maui, like a lot of people head to Haleakala, which is the peak on Maui that snows every year, and they stay up there and they get there in the morning and they chant to the rising of the sun. And this is the chant. It goes, Ialai kalai kahikina ikamoana kamoana ohunu piitaleva kalevanu ikahikina ayakala.
Oh, nice, brother. Yeah? Nice.
And so you keep doing that to call the sun up. And as the sun is coming up and as you're projecting this frequency of power through your voice, you're creating this new connection to the sun god, Kane Ho'alani, which, in the Egyptian pantheon, in all the different spiritual traditions,
they all have something.
Almost every spiritual tradition, they deify the sun, because without the sun, we have nothing. And the sun is constant. It's constant like the source.
Well, we don't have a planet. We don't have photosynthesis. We don't have anything without the sun.
We don't have anything, brother. We don't have anything, brother. It's the light of the world.
That's right. Man, Shane, I can talk to you for hours on this stuff, man. I'm going to have you on again periodically on the show here if you'd be
brother,
so
let's keep it going, my man. I'm going to actually hit you up in a playlist of all kinds of teachings in Hawaiian politics, a few of the things that are taking place in Hawaii to kind of inform you and everybody on, and pictures as well to put into this. Yes, okay.
Awesome, my friend. Awesome. Don't hang up when I end the podcast, but because I want to talk to you after I get off this. But Thank you, Shane. Tell everybody where they can reach you if they want. I know you have an Instagram presence and you have some. Do you still have your Shane TV or?
So I'm introducing a full production TV show in about 1 month. I had already completed our whole first season of 12 episodes. It's editing right now.
What is it about?
Be a full production. I'm actually interviewing all the top minds in Hawaii about everything culture, consciousness, and contribution to Hawaii. And so it's a full production studio show. And it's called Elija McShane TV, of course. So on top Instagram, everybody, please head to my Instagram at Elija McShane TV. And if you got any quotes from this and are impacted by it, hashtag Hawaiian Gold on our website. It is ElijaMcShane.tv. And on that website is going to have a whole blog of just history in Hawaii. I'm actually in the process of co-founding a reintroduction of a Hawaiian newspaper in Hawaii. I'm in the process of co-founding that right now. It's going to be an e-newspaper, so an e-letter each month. And it's going to be an inspirational newspaper, Ilama Hawaii, Ikalama Hawaii. And on top of that, guys, head to Kingdom Health at Kingdom Health. And it's a health company that I kicked off that has our healing chamber, that has all of our healing medicines that come from Hawaii, and we ship all around the world. And we're healing our people through ancestral practices and universal ancestral wisdom.
Nice. I love it, man. Thank you so much for sharing all this stuff with me today, man. We're going to keep talking about it. And we're gonna be doing some amazing stuff together. I could feel it in our future. I could feel it, man.
Oh, absolutely, brother. And in closing, for each of the guests, I want to do a little bit of an Oli Mahalo. Here is a chant that you do to actually give praises and thanks. It's called Oli, so O-L-I space M-A-H-A-L-O. So it's called the Oli Mahalo, to give honor, appreciation, to all the people in your space for a great meeting, for anything, to give honor to land.
All right.
And it speaks of the beauty of our land and the gratitude that we have to our kupunan. So I explain to everybody, hanu means inhale. So you're going to inhale 3 times to get kind of in balance and in place. And then I'm going to do it. So hanu. 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 Uhola ia kamakalu ala, puai ke aluhala, kukai ia kahalu ala, pavehi mai na lehua, mai ka ho'oku ia kahalava ila, mahalo e na tua. Mahalo e na tupuna la ea, mahalo me ke alohala, mahalo me ke alohala.
Mahalo, my friend, mahalo.
Hey, I love you so much, my man. Hey, thank you for having me on the show, brother. I can't wait to be on it again, my man. Hey, you guys have a great day. And as I end all of my stuff, always stay grounded in love, consciousness, and culture. But always stay up, because up is the only way to go.
Amen. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Stay on the line, okay?
Hey, I love you. I love you.
You're Hive with Daddy Yoshi.